So let's continue working on the legs a little bit more, and we'll see what we do next. So for the legs, I will disable the mask by just control dragging. And if you don't have a mask on your model, when control drag here beside your model and you don't have Dynamesh, let's see, Dynamesh is on. Yeah, so control click is just masking the whole object, the whole subtool, or the visible part of the subtool. For example, if we control shift drag and just hide most of the leg, and then control click to mask everything, we will not be masking the hidden part. So when we control shift click to show everything, we'll see that we have masked only this part. This is used sometimes combination of polygrouping, hiding, and showing, and everything is used to mask certain areas if you want. But yeah, it's a little bit more intermediate usage, although I think I've shown you very good how to use the masks and polygroups, and now I'm just making this flat, because if we try to use the tool that we have used here for the bottom of the feed, it will not work that much, because we have symmetry and this is here, and if we do this here, it will flatten also this part. It will be bad. So we have to know when and where to use our tools, basically, and this is good to know. But if you don't know, then you don't know. It's yeah, I'm sorry, I have to teach you, but I will. The thing is that you will know by yourself when to use things and stuff when you have practice. The practice is everything. Without practice, nothing can happen. So be careful to have practice. So this, as we can see here, is a little bit sharper on the image. So basically I will sharpen it, but not that much, just a little bit. Then we have to work a bit more on the legs, a bit more on other things, because yeah, we want a good looking image. So what have I done now? I just want to extrude parts of this, but not extrude, but just move them up. So this is, for example, this will be the leg. So what can I do? First, I will do this. Mask certain area here, invert the mask. And then I will move this area with my pivot. By clicking W, I'm going to the pivot again. And I will move it inwards. First inwards and then outward. And then I will have this. Let's Dynamesh it. Now it's cool. It was cool before, but now it's cooler. And then I will get this certain part from inside, invert the mask by control clicking outside the object, and then this will be the legs, and I will Dynamesh again. And I think that's completely good. Let's see. Okay, yeah, the legs will go like this here inside. And yeah, this obviously won't be visible because we will have a certain plane here in front and probably in the back also. But since we want everything to be perfect, I will do it, and I did it. So now about the plane. I will show you how we will do the plane. It's very easy because we can use almost anything. We can, for example, even from here we can extract one and make it a plane. We can take this, for example, and I will do this. So let's see this and just duplicate it. So duplicating meshes is just pressing this button, and delete will be this button. When we delete a mesh, it will ask us, this is not an undoable operation. Are you sure? I'm not sure. I don't want to delete this. I want to duplicate it. So be careful to check out what ZBrush is warning you. So duplicate will not get any warning because this is obviously an undoable operation. We can delete this and we will be left how we was or how we were. And now we are on this duplicated mesh. I will Control-Shift-Click to isolate only this polygroup. Then I will Control-Shift-Alt-Drag. And then I will Control-Shift-Alt-Drag again those. And then I will be left with this del hidden. I will delete the rest. I will get my pivot, Alt-Click to get it here. And then I will Alt-Click here and here. And I will drag this again like this. And then we have this thing. This thing is not exactly perfect, but it will do. What I mean by it will do is that this is kind of a thing we need. So now it's not symmetrical, as you can see. It's lost its symmetry, but mirror and weld here will make it symmetrical again. It's very good button. That's why we have it there, because it's very easy to use it. We don't use it that often, but still it's very, I will show you where it is. So it's in geometry, modified topology, mirror and weld. So it's a little bit hidden. I like to have it there. And now I will go and zero mesh at 0, 1. And now we have this plane. This plane is what we want. And of course it is here, but it's not a problem because we will get our pivot and just place it in front. And since this is our front plane, it should be flipped to be able to see it from the front, of course. Now we will just place it. Let's see. Okay, this is not good. If you want to make it narrower, you have to Alt-click on the pivot and move it to the center, as close to the center as possible, and then make it narrower, and then make it smaller like this, and move it. And basically we will have this kind of thing. I will increase my move brush and move it, and then move it maybe inward a bit more. And yeah, it's a little bit strange, but this is just a placeholder. We will probably make it better because there are 1, 2 planes there, so maybe we should make them like they are in the concept. Let's try to do that. How? I'm just moving. So this, I will again move my pivot to the center and make it narrower. Then I will zero mesh it at the lowest possible resolution, and I will zero mesh it until I get a good topology, because now my topology, especially here at the corners, is completely I don't know why, but it's complete bullshit. It's not good. So yeah, now it's getting better. But why? This is a corner here. Make it a corner. What is this? I'm not sure, but I'm clicking zero mesh until I get it. Or I wouldn't be able to get it, so I will do this. Very easy. Control-Shift, drag, Control-Shift-Alt, drag, and we'll get this. Yeah, when some polygons just don't want to work, I delete them, and then, yeah. So del hidden, zero mesher again, and now it's fine. It's better, at least. So, this thing, I will make it flat again, like this. I will disable symmetry by clicking X and move it here. Then I can do 2 things. I can duplicate it and move it and make it smaller to make this piece, this here little piece, or I can do this. If you don't have subdivisions on your subtool, you can Control click on this and move, and you will duplicate your geometry in the same subtool. So now this both are in the same subtool, but this is masked. So we will make this smaller and put it here and in front a bit. And these are same subtool. It's very cool. So this is used sometimes for teeth and other stuff. Monster teeth we can make, or whatever, even human teeth we can make. The other thing I want to do is solo this, and then with the standard brush I will go from up down, so without this, just to make some to look a little bit more interesting, some folds to make with the standard brush, with the normal standard brush, and then alt standard brush, and I'm making this kind of things, so this will look more interesting, not just flat thingy. And it's not perfect, but it will do for now. We can even pretend this is bigger at the top, and then at the bottom it became narrower, smaller. Yeah, and you can notice that I am doing everything that we have talked. I'm just rotating the model around, moving, and doing everything with some brushes that we know already, all the brushes we know. So it's nothing to talk about that much, because all the brushes are known to us already. This thing, I think we have to move it a bit up, like this, because you see the shoulder is here, and this part, the bottom part of the armor is very close to the shoulder. So you have to look at those things in order to make your concept work, because if you don't, your concept will be your model will be far away from the concept, and sometimes this is not a good thing, because sometimes you will lose the soul of the concept itself, and this concept has a lot of soul because of these things, you know. And now we will move the legs a bit upwards. How? Just pressing W. W will get our pivot. Then we'll press this button here on the far right of all the pivot buttons that are above the pivot. Pressing it will get us to select multiple subtools. So I'll remove my perspective because it's not good. And now you see I have only these tools selected. So I will make a selection with Control Shift outside, and then I will make a selection with Control Shift inside here. So I will get to be selected only the legs and this thing in front, and I will move them up like this. And then you can notice that this fist is going to end right under the knee area here, so it's exactly what we want. And now I just remove this, then Q to remove the pivot, and it's cool. So Q and W are very, very comfortable to use keys, because they are very close to your left hand. So don't be afraid to use them to call the pivot and to to call it out, to call it in and out. Yes. So the other thing I want to do is make sure that we have this lip also here in these things. How? Let's try with the standard brush just to push it with the big standard brush from distance. Maybe we can push it, or we can just move it with the move brush, just little by little. And yeah, this is a hack. I mean, it's not like we are using a low poly, which we have to use probably, but it's working sometimes, and it's maybe a little bit faster, but probably we should do it with the low poly. But if I do this and then do a low poly, we will have already achieved what we need to achieve. I'm not sure we need a low poly here, but we'll see. Low poly means zero mesher, of course. Probably we can do it, or just sculpt. Sometimes if you are a traditional sculptor or something, you just want to sculpt. Don't want to mess up with this zero mesher things and everything. Everything could be done with sculpting without those tools, but those tools are there to make your life more easy or easier, because traditional sculptors, their life is miserable because they don't have symmetry, they don't have a zero measure, they don't have dynamesh, they don't have everything, so they have to do everything by hand, and those things they should do by hand. So yeah, but if you're a traditional sculptor, maybe you can do it by hand and still be happy with it, who knows. So now I'm using various brushes, like pinch brush for example here with Alt, just to make this lip, as I said. Okay, now it's starting to look pretty nice. Let's make thickness for this particular thing. And yeah, we go to Z modeler brush, we go to some, let's polyframe to see, go to some polygon, press space, and now by default is Q mesh. We can try now, because I would go to extrude all polygons, but we can go to Q mesh, all polygons. Let's see what happens. It's the same as extrude with a few little differences, but I won't be able to explain you because there are just some cases that the Q mesh is different and it's better. But in some cases, when we just want to extrude, we better use extrude, you know. When we want to extrude with some things in mind, then we can use Q mesh. But in our case, extrude will give us the same result probably. Let's see, this is not flipped. Okay, I think we flipped it. So it's nice now. And now I will show you dynamic subdivision. When we have armors or hard surface like this, I always, when I make thickness, I always use dynamic subdivision to be able to see what will be the result of my mesh after I make subdivisions. So subdivisions are when we do this Control D or divide. When we subdivide it one, it will be 4 times as many polygons, it will be smoother. Then another time 4 times the polygons smoother and stuff like this. Every polygon gets divided by 4 when we divide. But if we don't want to subdivide but just see the result, we can dynamically subdivide. Dynamic subdivision is here. We open it and just press dynamic, or we just press D on the keyboard and it will say, would you like to activate dynamic subdivision instead? Always yes, it's cool. So now this will be the result. But this, the dynamic menu, let's see it. Dynamic, on, off, now on. And we will use only dynamic and smooth subdiv. So how many levels of subdivisions it will make, but by not making them, but just visualize them. So it will be 4 levels, for example. It's fine, but it's a little bit smooth. It's not that good. So we go to crease. We'll use dynamic subdivision and crease at the same time. So here in crease, we will go always crease level 1 or crease level 2, and then tolerance 45 it will be, and crease. That's all. That's it. Just 1 and crease. And now we see some corners appear. The crease now is making every angle bigger than 45 degrees here to be sharper by 1. If we make it 2, you will see crease, how everything became sharper. And maybe 2 is better, but we have to increase the dynamic subdivision by 5, and let's see how it looks. Maybe 1 is better. Let's see 1 again. 1, crease. I'm not exactly sure which one is the best, but let's keep it at 1. We go to Z modeler brush because I want to make this corner also sharp. But since it's not bigger than, it is. It's creased. Oh, interesting, very interesting. Why it's creased and it's not that sharp? I want it sharper here. So, if I want it sharper, I should go to crease level 2, for example, then go here, go to crease, edge loop complete, so edge, I go to an edge, press space, crease, edge loop complete, and then press it. And then it will crease everything, but it will crease everything that it's this edge loop, but this edge loop is, let me see, Okay, so it creases every other crease also, but doesn't crease this, for example, because we don't want this to be creased. Although it doesn't look super bad, but it's not as the concept. And I will inflate. Okay, saving. ZBrush is telling us by saving that we have to finish the video. But yeah, the crease level will be 1 at this point. I mean, 1 is, I think, better. And we can inflate the whole model like this. This is not the whole model, but just those shoulders. And how we can make them sharper on those edges, we have to add edges by going to Z modeler brush, then going to an edge, press space, insert, single edge loop, and we insert an edge loop here, insert an edge loop here. And now they are sharper as they should be. And of course, we can always go to our move brush, and just fix what we think it should be fixed. And of course, that's not all. We can always move and fix. The thing is that we don't have real subdivisions here, which is cool. This is our model basically, and this is just a show of subdivisions. How I do this? Getting to this or this again. It will shift D is one subdivision down, and D is subdivision, is basically lower less, shift D, and higher res is D. You know? And since we don't have higher res, it's going to dynamically subdivide. We will continue in the next video, but now our model is starting to work. I think you have knowledge already for the basic things, and we will continue a little bit in a faster pace, probably. Yes.